Hey, you made it. Come on in and join me. I'm Angela, and this is me making sense of myself. I'm super glad you're here. If you haven't done so yet, hit the subscribe button so you can follow the adventure as it unfolds. And if you love this podcast, share it with your friends. It's Friday, and it's time for the Friditty, or the Friday Ditty. I'll share with you a poem about this week's topic, which is frightened and courage, along with explaining what happened inside of me. I'm not giving advice. If you want advice, there are plenty of people who would love more than anything to give it to you. And I truly believe that you have the capacity to understand yourself, and sometimes, most times, that's through understanding other people. So let's get to it. The poem's title is Frightened but Courageous Me. Once upon a frightening day, I felt frightened, I must say, but I discovered a secret, oh so grand, to find my courage in a way so unplanned. I checked if my fear truly made sense, or if my body played a funny suspense. Sometimes frightened without good cause, I find my fear rooted in imaginary flaws. My body may feel strange, my pain may rise, my mind begins to connect it to fear in disguise. But hark, dear friends, it's not always true to attribute my fear to things I misconstrue. So what did I do to find my brave, to stand strong even when fear would wave? I embraced my fright with open arms wide, validating my feelings deep down inside. Frightened but courageous, that's who I can be. Finding strength amidst fear, it's a guarantee. So hold on to courage, my friend, so tight, and conquer your fears with all your might. When I use the word frightened, it means there is an immediate fear. What happens in the brain, though? Let's talk about snakes. How many times can you miss a dangerous snake? 0 times. Why? 90% of snakes aren't dangerous, but you don't take the time to pull out your phone, take a picture, and do a Google search. How come? Well, 10% are deadly. Most people don't see a snake. They see a dangerous snake. And even before they had the thought dangerous snake, their body is responding to the threat. And a bunch of things are happening. Here's where I'm going to nerd out on you a little bit. You're welcome. First, my brain detected a threat. My amygdala triggered the body's fight or flight response by sending signals to the hypothalamus and brainstem. The hypothalamus released stress hormones, which told my brainstem to increase my heart rate, breathing, and other things to prepare my body for action. This was all so I could run for my life. Right here, my body is preparing before I fully assess the situation. Then, my prefrontal cortex starts assessing the threat's context and potential consequences, allowing for more reasoned decision-making in response to the fear-induced stimuli. Basically, what that means is that my body and my brain start to try to make sense and decide how I'm going to respond. It's after the prefrontal cortex comes online that I can think about what's happening. Getting here takes some work, and even then, depending on how the experience is encoded in the hippocampus for the future, I might get stuck in a fear loop where I see snakes everywhere. Remember the story about my daughter screaming and my other daughter yelling run and my body going zing? When my body did this, I had no idea what happened. My body was in fight or flight, and I had no ability to change that before I became consciously aware. It's when I felt that zing that I knew I was overwhelmed, and I used breathing techniques and mantras to find my balance again. For a few days, the memory was enough to trigger my body into this response. The memory would pop up sporadically as my brain tried to make sense of what happened. Basically, my brain was making a map to figure out how to keep me safe in the future, and every time it felt real. In Daniel Goleman's book, Social Intelligence, we learn that pictures, movies, and thoughts evoke real emotion. There's a maxim in social science that says a thing is real if it is real in its consequences. Our bodies don't know the difference. Now, I could have focused only on what went wrong and locked myself into living in fear of the next bad thing happening. But I have no control over if bad things happen. What I do have control over is looking at the event from a different perspective. I had to figure out what I did well, and when I look at that, I can see my courage. Let's look at another example, the big black bug. How was I being courageous even when I was frightened? Well, in a study by Puri, Starkey, and Olson, they found that courageous actions must be taken voluntarily, despite the risk to the actor, and in pursuit of a worthwhile or noble goal. So you must choose your courageous action. There needs to be a risk, and you must believe it to be noble. So, in episode 1021, I saw the big black bug and was frightened. I took some calming breaths, chose an action. I think it was noble. I decided it was safe to walk way around it, chose an action, risky and noble. I walked a little closer, chose an action, risky, noble. It looked dead, so I kicked it off the walkway, chose an action, risky and noble. Then, as I calmed down, realizing I wasn't in danger, I took a video to show you. Chose an action, risky. You might not think it's scary, but I did. Noble, because I'm sharing with you about fright and courage. So, dear friends, when fear comes your way, remember my bug tale from this day. With courage and strength, you'll find your might, facing fears head on in the brightest light. I've put some links down in the doobly-doo for you. Remember to subscribe and share with your friends. And if you have a question, send it over. I might just answer it. I'll see you next time. I'm Angela, and this was me making sense of myself.